Brian here with another video. Apparently the last one went well enough that it's worth trying another one. So today I want to talk to you about your relationship. This would be relevant if you're dating somebody, if you're engaged, if you're married. So I want to ask you, what is the biggest challenge in your relationship right now? Give that just a couple seconds thought. You probably came up with 7 in those couple seconds, but just pick the biggest one, and we're going to focus on that today. What do you think is beneath it? So I know for me, one of the big things is I love to be right. Looking back over my marriage over the years, one of the biggest challenges is just I love to be right. You know, whether it's how we do the laundry, how we resolve a disagreement, I love to be right, and it creates distance in my relationship at times. So I want to share with you an insight that I found helpful from Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 15. I've got it right here. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that spoil the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. So the Song of Solomon is it's a great book. It's a little spicy at times, but here in chapter 2, verse 15, the foxes represent problems, and their relationship is represented by a vineyard. And so these problems, these foxes, are threatening to ruin their relationship. So the question is, how do they handle it? Well, notice that they don't blame each other. They're focused on catching the problems. It's our relationship, they say. They're not focused on the other person's stuff. The only thing that matters is stopping the problems so that their relationship can thrive. And I just want to say, notice that we're not talking about overlooking sin, which may well be one person's problem more than the other. We're not talking about that. But at the same time, our natural tendency is to say, you know, if you would just stop blah, 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 or if you would just start whatever the case may be, you know, basically then I'd be fine, then I'd be happy, our relationship would be better. And that's our natural approach, but it's not what Solomon recommends here, and it doesn't make for a great marriage. So let's kind of put some teeth on this. Let's make it practical. Let's say your spouse is defensive. Most of the times when you go to them and bring up stuff in the relationship. And obviously that makes it difficult to work on the problems. And maybe you're angry about it, you're frustrated about it, and you've just you're giving up and you're kind of saying, all I can do is pray. So that's not really the approach Solomon is commending here. So what else can you do? What else can you do besides just kind of sitting on the sidelines and getting angry? So you could ask God to forgive you for your anger. Ask Him to release you from that. You could bring up the issue, you know, with your husband, boyfriend, fiance, whatever, and tell them that it's really bothering you, and you want to work on it together. You can acknowledge your role in the problem. You know, maybe in the past, you've gotten defensive about his defensiveness, and that's been part of the issue. You can acknowledge that. You could let him know that your goal isn't to pick him apart. It's that you want him to be all he can be in Christ. And you want your marriage to reflect the relationship that Christ has with His church. So these are all ways you can start working together. You could suggest going to a counselor, a biblical counselor together. You could enlist, 3 friends to pray alongside you until things start to improve. So the point isn't so much the specifics of how you handle it. It's that you're not kind of sitting on the sidelines, being distant, being angry, and kind of saying, fix yourself, and then I'll be back. The goal is to catch the foxes, the mutual problems in your relationship, so it can blossom, it can flower. In closing, I just want to acknowledge that there are probably some of you here today where you feel like your boyfriend, girlfriend, your fiance, your spouse isn't really willing to work on problems with you. You're kind of catching the foxes all by yourself. You know, what do you do in that situation? That's probably worth a whole other video, so if that's something that interests you, let me know, and I'd be happy to address it. But For now, in closing, just two practical questions. First, what is the biggest problem in your relationship? And secondly, what is one practical step you can take today to make it better? Thanks, guys.